Ricky, and welcome to another episode of the Raad Life. One of the things that we have mostly suffered with this sequestering is the social engagement, the social interaction. And if you're a business owner, you know the importance of genuine networking. Not socializing, by the way, because there is a difference. There's a difference between socializing and networking, but also sometimes there are those who basically combine those two very well. And one of the people that I was very curious about how that aspect of their life was proceeding right now is a gentleman that I've had on the show before by the name of John Dade. John is a friend, and he has a group that he put together that networks over cigars and scotch and bourbon and things of that nature. People come together. It's a very popular way. It's a very low key. It's more socializing, but is more of a way to connect people together. And he actually has got so much of a good response to this. He's been doing it for a number of years that now there's chapters not only in Orange County, but also in LA, in Westlake, which is north of LA, and in San Diego. So I wanted to see how that aspect is now happening. Is he setting up virtual meetings? How are people staying in touch? And especially for guys, we tend to have a little bit more of a difficult time maintaining those social networks. Women are very much better at it. And so this was a big deal for a lot of people to get together in person, share cigars, and get to, just kind of check in with one another, very low key, like I said. So I'm going to bring John in and let's find out what's going on right now, because we are now past the second week and we're looking at about the 30 days of sequestering. So what's happening in the socializing and networking arena? John, are you there?
I'm here. How you doing, Rod?
I see. I was just saying that I'm really concerned that cigar and bourbon drinking and networking and socializing is kind of has been a victim of this coronavirus thing. But I see that you're doing just fine over there.
We're doing just fine here in Orange County. It's North Orange County.
Hold on. Hold that up for a minute. Hold that up for a minute.
All right, there you go.
Now from here. And my nose, is not really virtual, but I would guess, is there some Remy Martin in there?
You've got a pretty good nose over the microphone. Yes, it is. We went to it. Yeah, there you go.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. That's a Saran cigar, right?
Yeah. Javier.
A shout out to Javier. That's a Saran cigar. And Remy, you know what? I don't think my Spanish wine over here is going to cut it. You are heads and shoulders above me, my friend.
I don't know. I'm looking at that. I think it's a 2001 I can see from here.
You're very good too. Yes, in fact, it is a 2001.
Yeah, I don't know.
Spanish Rojo Red, and I bet you there's some sediment in this bottle. I've had it for at least about 5 years.
Oh,
and the cork came out perfect and solid. Good. So I think it's safe to pour.
I think it's safe to pour. We're going to have a taste off.
While I do that,
yes.
I made sure to get the appropriate glass for it, by the way. And it doesn't have anything to do with the size of my nose. I just happen to
look at that.
Look at the dark. Look at the darkness of that red.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
Look at that.
See that?
And we got
that is a solid red.
Yeah.
Cheers, my friend. Salud.
Boom. Mm.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Ooh, that's going to get even better.
I don't usually polish up a bottle of wine, but I think this is.
There you go. That's going to be
for anybody who's watching this. Yes, it is after 5 o'clock, so technically we are officially okay. So, but with
all this craziness going on, I tell you, at the end of this, I'm going to be fat and drunk. That's all there is to it. I
do have some shows coming up next week about fitness and making sure that we get rid of the coronavirus spare tire. So
my God.
Tune in. There's more. There's definitely, there's a reason why I'm wearing a jacket. Okay. Let's just
so, that's why I'm only here from here now. See?
Yeah. It's the angle is perfectly set up. So the thing I said before I brought you on, John, though, all kidding aside, is, when I had you on the show last time, we talked about what you did, which is, I refer to you as the one of the, handful of remaining genuine traders by the traditional definition of the word, like trading places traders, like commodity traders, right?
Yep.
Like when it was trading and not just sitting in front of the computer.
Well, it's still trading, but the floor is empty right now. It's all electronic, believe it or not.
But you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know, the old guard way, yeah. So and we'll talk about that a little bit for those who don't know you. But one of the things that when I had you on the show and then you had me on yours that you were doing up in LA is we were talking about your book.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that don't know this book, it is a powerhouse of a book. In a very small, it is true. I'm not blowing smoke, and it is because I can't smoke indoors. But no, I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not blowing smoke either.
I know what you mean.
I know you're holding that as a prop. Hey, Javier, I need a few of those, please. So
no smoking in the home office. I know.
Right, but let me just say that this book that looks larger than life on the wall behind me, right? It's about this size.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using one of those like dummies books, not because it's a for dummies book, but the size literally is like that. Exactly. Thank you, John.
There you go.
So, okay. So that book is a real powerhouse. But the interesting thing about that book is it really captures what you did, which is that you found something that you loved and you basically turned it into a networking opportunity. And I told people before I brought you on that the thing that makes it really cool is that it's not really a hardcore networking situation. It's actually more socializing. And I have a pet peeve. Pet peeve when people basically call something networking and it actually is socializing. Now, in your case, you call it business networking, but it actually is more social, I think. And it's to your credit because you're not like, stand up and give your elevator speech, what are your needs, and it's not that kind of networking. So for those who don't know you, that don't know the inspiration behind this book, share a little bit, because it has definitely been a very important part, I think, in a lot of people's lives. And I said, guys are not like women. We don't do as well in the social scene of having and maintaining those relationships. So something like this basically gives us a sense of camaraderie, a sense of, tribal community, if you will. So now, and then I want to turn it on its head kind of and say, okay, then with what's going on right now, how the heck is this happening? So go ahead and tell people about yourself, John, please, while I enjoy a little bit more of this.
Okay, not a problem. I'll be quick, so you stay sober on the air.
Thanks for looking out. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, it was started. I mean, I hope my wife doesn't see this segment because it took me 6 months to convince her that it wasn't a social event. And I wasn't just going out and drinking and smoking and partying.
Oh, so the label has a purpose. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I apologize. Tell us about your networking event.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we're talking. No, but it's called, and I shared this with her, and I share it in the book as well. It's a party with a purpose, for lack of a better word. I wanted to create something different. You had mentioned the tribe and the elevator pitches and all this type of thing. It just wasn't working for me, and it wasn't working for a lot of people. So I wanted to put something together that brought people together in a very social way, but it was understood it was a business networking event. You were there to meet people and do business per se, but something where they can enjoy their passions. And my passions just happened to be, a good scotch and a good cigar. And so I built it around that, and it just happened to be the passions of the people that I needed to meet and do business with, as you mentioned in the alternative investment cycle. So we started it 10 years ago in February of this year, and it just took off. We brought people together, and we do it in a very relaxed, comfortable atmosphere. You're not walking into a group where it's cold and you feel like you have to break the ice. And, for people that are shy, it can be very challenging. When you walk in, it's very comfortable. You already share something in common with everybody there. A good cigar, a good scotch, or a good rum, or a good bourbon. You're all executives, business owners, professionals there to relax, meet your kind of people you can do business with, and more importantly, build relationships with and connect people with to do business with. So
you and I have that similar thing. We are more relational than transactional. And
Well,
so,
exactly, exactly. In this business, all of that went out the door after 2008.
mhm,
Uh, People are just gun shy. Investors are gun shy. They don't want to be sold. I like to share that everybody wants to buy, but nobody
mhm,
wants to be sold. So the old days of cold calling and walking in and saying, "Here's my card. Let's do business. I want to do this." And they just don't want to hear that anymore. They want to know you. They want to trust you. They want to feel comfortable with you. They want to share their commonalities with you. Then they will do business with you. So that was
John,
what we get.
do you feel that right now we may be even experiencing a more concentration of that, like people not wanting to be sold? Like right now, there's like, we've been through this 2 weeks. We're going to be through it another 30 days.
Mhm.
We're literally almost to a quarter of a year that we're going to basically be in this situation. And it's a bit of a cliche that says, any behavior pattern that's done for 30 days becomes a new habit. But do you think, to your point, which by the way, thank you very much, it's a very, very, very insightful point to share, is that since 2008, people just don't want to be sold. They want to buy, but they don't want to be sold. And yet a lot of people out there don't get that. Even today, they're still out there selling,
Yes,
right?
they're transactional, as we call it,
Transactional. Do you
versus
think you think there's going to be an aversion, even more of an aversion right now, in the, let's say, at least in the interim quarter or 30 days or 60 days, that people are going to have more of an aversion to that being sold thing? I mean, what do you think?
Hmm. I tend to agree that you're right on target because during this period of time, and we'll get into this a little bit later, you're going to find out who your friends are, who your relationships are,
Mm-hmm.
and who the other people are. Okay, and the people that are just transactional. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. Here's my card. Let's do business, or else I'm moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're going to fall by the wayside. The ones that will be remembered are the ones that have fostered the relationship through this crisis,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, and stayed in touch, kept that relationship going through voice, emails, phone calls,
Right.
video programs, and what have you. And that's going to emerge where the people say, okay, I want to do business with Raad because he was there through this whole thing, didn't try to sell me anything, didn't want me to buy anything. He was just there for me,
Mm-hmm.
informing me, keeping me abreast of what's going on, letting
Mm-hmm.
me know that he's there if I had questions. That's where people are going to go to when
Well,
it's over.
that is absolutely correct. I cannot agree with you more on that level. However, there is a reality. The reality is that people in sales,
Mm-hmm.
if they are still fortunate enough after the last 2 weeks to still be in a sales position,
Mm-hmm.
they need to sell in order to live, in order to pay their
Yeah.
bills, right? And
Mm-hmm.
stimulus money aside, checks being cut, all that stuff aside, we won't even go in there, right? Because in Orange County, $1,200 is what, like a pack of cigarettes and a couple of
A pack of cigarettes, a half tank of
couple,
gas.
yeah, and a couple of Starbucks coffees. I mean, it is not going to go far,
Right.
right? Now, I'm not naive enough to think that there's going to be another stimulus package, and by the time we're out of this, because of the attempt to try to like spend our way out of this,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be saddled with a hell of a lot of problems on the economic side. I mean, that is just going to be miserable, right?
It's going to be a
Uh,
new normal for sure.
it's definitely going to be a new normal, but to the point that people will try to sell because they need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to. It's going to need to be different. I think there's going to be a need to be sensitive. It's not like, for example, you can't just basically try to sell somebody a house right now, trying to tell them that basically they need to buy this house because next time there's a coronavirus and they're basically sequestered, look at how much room they'll have. Look at how much of it, you'll have a pool, you'll have an indoor bowling alley, you'll have you'll have a helicopter pad that you can't get the helicopter off the air. But if you want to just fly over your neighborhood, with only yourself and social
Yeah.
distancing,
Social distancing, 3,000
in a
feet.
helicopter, like it that would, in my book at least, be insensitive. Like I talked to you about the interior design business that I'm in. Like it's like if I went in, somebody said right now and said, "Hey, listen," because I need to generate sales. Hey, listen, I think you really should redo your remodel your house, because when you put it on the market in about 6 months, you should have this thing already built in. You should take some from your savings. People are very tight right now, and understandably so.
Yes.
So they may want to buy something, but we as people that are basically trying to provide a service really need to start looking into that word. Like, what is the benefit? What are you really, right this time in time of crisis, what
Yeah.
is it that you are providing that somebody really needs? And you may have to change what it is that you're pitching. You may have to change how you go about it. You may have to change when you expect payment for it. As much as you need the payment now, it may be basically where you're banking it for later. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting developments in terms of payment structures, in terms of when things are due. Like in companies, and in a lot of companies, we have this 30-day thing where you buy something now and from a supplier, and then it's due in
Sure.
30 days or something.
30 days pay cycle.
I think we're going to start seeing some of that stuff happening on an individual basis. I think the longer this thing stays in effect.
Well, yeah, and you hit it on the head, because flexibility. You're right. You're getting those that are flexible. Okay, like the adjustments you made, on your radio show and things like that.
But like deferring payments,
Yes.
extending discounts.
Mhm.
If you're a member of something, basically the entity basically says, well, we're going to defer that into either a credit into your balance, or because they need to also be sustained, or we're not going to bill people for the next 2 months or something like that, or we're going to bill them at half rate or whatever, because we know you can't come in and use the facilities, be it a gym, be it a club, whatever it is. Those are the people, you're right, those are the people that you're going to remember and actually have a loyalty to, because they had your back and were sensitive to your plight when this was happening.
That is correct. And that's the flexibility part. And those that are able to do that and make that transition and what have you, and get out of that sell it now, collect now, move to the next person mentality, will be the ones that survive and thrive as we move forward.
So what are you seeing? What are you seeing on? Let's deal with your sort of day job. The commodity trading side of things, right? I like you said, a lot of this stuff for a long time has been virtual anyway. Like, I've been working in my interior design capacity. I've been doing remote work for 20 years. So there was no real adjustment needed for that. The people that I work with, I mean, I used to flippantly say, I don't care if you're doing your job in a bathrobe, overlooking a lake, as long as the work gets to the client when we need to get it to the client, it's fine, right? I mean, I really care about your quality of life. And if that makes you happy, then, by all means, work remotely. You want to put in the hours after 5, you want to put it, whatever. We coordinate with those realities. So in your case, I know a lot of your industry was already virtual, so that wasn't an issue. Are you seeing any differences in buying patterns? Are you seeing any differences in people maybe basically not making decisions right now about buying things? This is not necessarily, again, you're a commodities trader versus like somebody who's speculating on the market, because right now, the airline stock is down, but they're just about to get the stimulus package infusion and bailout, and then boom, you're stuck. Are you seeing any of that, John?
Yes, it is impacting the market. And you brought up a good point, is investing versus speculating. There's speculators out there, and speculating is good for those that need to do it. And it has its market, and it helps drive the other markets.
Right.
Investing is in my idea, taking a risk based on the probability of success, backed by knowledge of doing it more than once. So in our market, previous to the complete shutdown, we've all seen the movie, if not, go see it, Trading Places, and everybody's standing on the floor and waving their hands and doing the signs and what have you. And that was the norm, even on a smaller scale, up until about a week and a half ago. And that actually shut down, and everything went electronic. So now it did change the trading strategies of the people that we work with, the traders in the markets that we work with, because they're no longer able to call the floor, you might say, and talk to a floor trader and get things done efficiently that way. Now it's all done via electronic, Everybody's on the same scale. It all jams up and spurts out the other side. So it has changed it. It's also changed the pattern of trading on the floor, because the people that used to be active buyers and sellers are now holding back. There's not the need for certain things out there anymore. So it's making the trading much more challenging. I won't go into all the details, nuances, but let's say that it has made the trading more challenging. It's still there. It's still valuable. It's still very liquid. It's still very lucrative, but it has changed the trading mindset on both the buying side and the selling side.
Is there anything that is concerning you right now? Like, if the longer we stay in this sort of uncertain condition, in this sort of, where we don't really have clear leadership on the matter, we're still kind of subject to sort of punitive ways to try to control this, which, we are a country built on freedom. So that in its own essence is basically counterintuitive to our nature.
That's a whole other subject, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it does play a lot, because there's a sort of a defiance. At some point, people are going to go, no, I don't care. I'm not going to. And that's going to come with its own set of issues where, people that are basically saying, you're being a jerk, you're endangering everybody by being out. I don't care. I've been sequestered for, we could find ourselves in that situation.
We could find
very
ourselves
easily.
Yes.
There's been a bit of this on social media already within 2 weeks, where basically people are being shamed for going, how dare you go to the beach? How dare you not stay at home? Because people are, there's a lot of fear out there. Is there anything that from your professional capacity that you are concerned about if we stay in this thing longer than, let's say the end of April?
Well, absolutely, because it's a trickle-down effect. It's going to affect everything and everybody financially. If the big banks can't do their business, can't do their trading, if the big trading firms run, the risk of not having the funding to do the trading they need to do, because the traders and the investors are pulling out because they have to fund their businesses. I mean, look at the oil companies. Their stocks are way down, oil's way down. There's a big oil war going on, and the oil companies are hurting. So if they're not able to stay afloat, then their business on the exchanges is going to suffer. They may have to take money out to keep their businesses afloat. They can't do the hedging or things that they need to do. So it's going to be a trickle-down effect. And it's the same, and that's on the wholesale scale. On the retail scale, absolutely. You may be a millionaire and you may be trading and doing your hedging and things like that. But if your source of business, your source of income dries up for an indefinite period of time, and now you have that fear, and the market hates fear. The market hates uncertainty. You have that fear. Now you're not going to trade as actively, and or you may take your money out. For example, gold, a perfect example. Gold is usually a hedge when the markets get crazy.
Right.
Why is gold going down? My personal opinion, a lot of people are cashing in gold and selling gold to meet their margin calls, to meet their daily expenses, to meet their needs, okay? And it served its purpose as a survivor tool.
Yeah.
But they're having to cover expenses they never had to cover before. Mm-hmm. And the key is they don't know for how long.
Well, then that's the uncertainty. And unless you're a speculator and you're very agile and very fluid and have the ability to take those calculated risks with high gain, high loss potential.
Yes.
Yeah, the market hates uncertainty, and this is, again, I remind people we were heading for a potential slowdown at best, maybe a recession at worst.
At worst.
And a lot of things were basically being shored up. Like when we are looking at a Fed that's looking at basically doing a negative interest rate. I mean, I prior to interior design, I have an undergraduate in economics. I don't understand the bizarro world, or the opposite world that we live in, where somebody would do a reverse interest rate. Like, can somebody who knows what the heck a reverse interest rate and how the heck that it would even be a plausible policy? Could they explain that to me, please?
The short answer is you have to pay the bank to put your money in, because they're not going to pay you any interest on it.
Do I pay the bank to put my money in and give them a toaster so they could open an account? I mean, it is bizarre. It is bizarre, and we got people that are sitting in leadership positions that are like talking about this like it's as, you know, it's as valid as any business policy, as valid as any, you know, sort of, you know, management style. I mean, I was joking with somebody the other day, and I said, you know, with the amount of times that we use the term too big to fail,
Mm-hmm.
and now there's a new one, by the way, too small to fail. Too small to fail. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So too big to fail. I've heard it so much in the last 10 years that when I went to business school, we didn't have a management class on how the style of management called too big to fail. But I'm wondering whether they're teaching it in school now, because you built the company big enough that if it fails, you're basically going to be bailed out, and then you cash out your stocks, and you basically live on easy street the rest of your life. I mean, is that a business policy?
That's it. It's a great business model for the people that take advantage of it. But I'm glad you mentioned too small to fail, because, and you found this out in your business economics.
Yeah.
Small businesses employ most of the people in America.
Very true.
Okay. So we need those small businesses because, again, it's a trickle-down effect. I'm not able to get my hair cut for the next 30 to 45 days. I'm going to start looking like, you know, a Yeti, you know, in the next 2 weeks.
I have a trick for you. It's called gel. Get gel, and you'll be
gel.
Gel. Just gel your hair.
Gel the hair.
Yeah, we'll all start looking like the Goodfellas from The Sopranos, but we'll get a couple more weeks out of it. Now, after that, I don't know what we're going to do.
Man bun.
Yeah, man bun is going to be in about a month. Yes. Oh God, that is a horrible, horrible thought.
I don't want to go there.
I need a bit of this. Now that is a horrible thought. I mean, I didn't. This is not a horror show, John. Okay, that is a horrible, horrible thought.
Okay.
On many levels. So okay, but you're right. I mean, it's gonna hurt, and those small businesses are suffering today after 2 weeks because a lot of businesses were leveraged like to the max.
Yes, and a lot of people think that if you're a business owner, I mean, I experienced this when I had my restaurants. I was in the restaurant business for 18 years, and they thought because I had 2 restaurant franchises, you know, that I was, you know, rolling in dough. Excuse the pun, there were pizzerias, but that I was flush with cash. And the reality is, a lot of small businesses are 60 days from shutting their doors, you know, without revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why, again, the small businesses, they matter. If Bob and Pop on the corner can't pay their bills, they can't pay the landlord can't pay his mortgage, the mortgage can't pay the bank, they all go under.
Those small businesses, by my calculation, from the people I've talked to at least, have laid off at least half of their people.
Oh, yes.
If not 3/4 of their people, and have literally a handful of people that are handling delivery on pickup orders or takeouts as they come in. They're not even like clocking a full day. It's like when we get a pickup order, you live down the street, you're close to the restaurant, you're fortunate, I'm going to hold on to you, but I'm going to pay you for when we actually need you. And the restaurants that I've talked to are averaging like 15% at best of their normal sales. Now you were in the industry. How long can a restaurant last with only generating 50% of their revenue?
You can't last very long. This margins are thin as they are.
Right. Okay. It's a difficult business to begin with.
50%. Utilities don't go down 50%. You know, labor costs don't go down 50%. Taxes don't go down 50%. It can, like I said, 30 to 60 days without revenue. You know, a lot of them aren't going to make it.
Where's speaking of utilities? I mean, right now we're all on friggin' the internet, even more so than we were ever before, right? So whoever your provider is, where is the incentive plans? Where is the sensitivity to the market and what people are going through? Where is that? No, there's still calls coming in saying, oh, you owe X amount of dollars, or we're gonna, you've been slated for shutdown or
Mhm.
termination or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, we've been at this for 2 weeks, and I'm not. By the way, I'm not using broad brush strokes, because there have been people that have actually stepped up.
Mhm.
Corporations, businesses, they've stepped up. And you look at the same two players in the same industry, and you watch a person who's acting from a position of fear, and
Mhm.
another one who is agile and lean and is a hustler by nature and is outside the box thinker, and they are coming up with alternatives right now. I know of a company that basically had some things that they use for their promotion when they went out and actually set up to do something, and they took that, which is inventory that is basically paid for.
Mhm.
They took that and they turned it into a membership program, and they sold out of those things within a week, less than a week, 3 days from announcing this program. Yeah, and I'll have more on that once I have them on there. But
That's
that is, yeah, and that is, you and I talk about this. Like, if you have that muscle already developed, you're going to fare much better right
mhm.
now with what's going on. You'll still hurt. We're still going to feel it. Everybody. I don't know
We're
anybody
all
who's
gonna
going to be
feel it.
spared.
We're all gonna feel
We're
it.
all going to feel it. And then the new normal will require those skill sets. I had a conversation earlier today where I said, prior to this, the skill set that you would basically look for in somebody, if you're going to employ them under these conditions, under the conditions in the past,
Mhm.
would be somebody that maybe had deep pockets, somebody that had financial resources.
Mhm.
Right now, the skill set that would be in demand would be outside the box thinking, resiliency, creativity, the ability to recombine things and pivot in a way that could basically lead to something that you can build on,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
fascinating how within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending where you are in the world,
Mhm.
the priorities of what would make somebody basically a valuable asset
Mhm.
has been put on its head. It has turned on its head completely.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
you see all these funny memes about, people basically, you know, being real players because they got, a trunk full of toilet paper versus, a whole bunch of gold or something, right? I mean, I'm joking, and it's an exaggeration, but it has
Yeah.
really been turned on its head. The leadership styles, where the leaders are coming from,
Mhm.
it's changing. And what do we do, John? I mean, what do we do? Let's take the conversation to the sort of the
Sure.
networking and the social thing again. And again, John's book is your networking, which is very clever, and and it is a small, but it packs a punch, really. And you should get it. Where can people find your book right now, since they have all
Uh,
the time in the world to read it?
Amazon, Amazon Books, Barnes and Noble, and Vroman Books in Pasadena. All of them, physical stores or online.
Okay,
Yep.
so look for his book. I have a copy of it. It's a really fascinating. 12 chapters, I think, isn't it, John?
Yes. Yes.
12 chapters, really concise. It's
It's a
not a
quick
boring
read.
business.
It's a quick read.
It's a quick read, but it's not a boring business book. I think you have a lot of stuff in it. I mean, you're a very, very relaxed, casual, very approachable guy, but you have a wealth of knowledge, and I think the book is very much a reflection of your personality.
Oh, thank
So,
you. I just wrote it as if I was sitting and talking with you and sharing my thoughts.
right.
Yeah, it was
And I
meant to
think
be
I
that
think
way.
I think it's very powerful because of that. That's another layer for why it's powerful.
Oh,
But
thank you.
let's talk about, and I'm going to put up some pictures. So we one of the events that we were all at was at Bistango's
Mhm.
in Irvine, and you had a cigar night. And I picked this picture on purpose because I wanted to show that, it's not just guys getting together and, beating our chests. We're actually, women are there. It's a
Mhm.
really kind of a comfortable environment. How can people find out about this group, by the way, John? You have a Facebook page or
Well,
something?
we have a couple Facebook pages. If you just go to Facebook and type in Cigar Night Business Mixer, it will come up. And there's a chapter in LA, one in Westlake Village, one in San Diego, and the original chapter in Orange County.
Yeah, it's fascinating how this has actually gone beyond Orange County. And I've known you long enough since when you were kind of starting this thing. And
Mhm.
it has really been really nice to see, because not a lot of people, not a lot of entities, not a lot of businesses can claim like 10 years of existence and sustainability, let alone growth into 4 other markets, if you will, right?
Mhm.
And so, if anybody who hasn't been to this, you don't have to be a cigar smoker.
No,
Obviously
no.
there's a tolerance to the smoke. If
Yeah,
you are not tolerant,
you
don't
you
go.
just have to put up with us.
Yeah, but well, and I think it's a nice group of people that you've pulled together. There's not really a lot of jerks or anything like that in there. And I want to just prove that yes, I have been there.
Yeah, there he is. I know
Right.
that face. Yeah. And
John is up in the other
I'm up
in the
here in the corner.
left hand corner, and
Is that Mr.
that
Javier
is
Bone that you're with? These Javier Bone?
that is Javier Serran that I
Oh,
am with. Yes.
yes.
Again, I'm trying to get Javier to send me some cigars, so I showcased him on your show.
I got mine.
Yeah, I have one. Okay, I have to settle for Gloria the Cubana and Romeo and Julietas, whatever.
Hey,
Hey, Javier, I need
no.
to stock up. Send me some.
Step up, Av.
So you this is an event that is popular. People go to it. People count on it basically happening on occasion so that they basically maintain this thing. So has that been a victim of this last thing? I mean, obviously, social distancing, and then I love the fact that we didn't like social distancing anymore as a community, and we start calling it physical distancing, because actually, how can it be social distancing when we're all using social media? I mean,
Exactly.
right?
Okay.
But we called it social distancing for about 2 weeks, and then we're like, nah, we don't like that. Let's change it. We'll put another label on it. Now we're going to call it physical distancing. So what do you think? What do you think? Are you going to have an event where it's like physical distancing with 6 feet apart, and then that's going to make for a big
That's going to make it kind
location?
of tough. I guess that's
You
hard.
need to get a warehouse or something for that one.
Yeah, that's true. We're out in a big park.
What are people doing? I mean, are you trying to do something virtual? What are people doing to fulfill that need? Because they're obviously not networking the normal way, and a lot of these events that were out there, to be honest with you, I stopped going to, because it was just not really networking. And if I wanted to hang out with a bunch of people that I knew and have some drinks and basically just connect and see how they are, I'd go to something like yours. I'd go hang out at the bar at the Center Club. I'd do something like that. I didn't have to triple and quadruple book myself anymore. I did it for a while, and it was empty, and it was an empty feeling. So what are people doing right now to satisfy that need that is maybe at one point was very linked to how they basically conducted their business?
Well, it's been a transition. It's been a transition for me because I'm a social person. I like to get out. I like to meet people, go to different venues. We change venues every month. We have the mixers every month, different location every month in all 4 venues. So we have managers in all 4 chapters. So they took care of setting the dates and the venues and things like that. It all came to a grinding halt because all of our venues basically are closed. We can't go anywhere to do that. So I mentioned it earlier that a friend of mine has something called the Orange County Scotch Club, which I'm a member of, and he put together a virtual tasting. It's just a very unique way of doing it. And we're looking at possibly having a virtual cigar networking event in the next, our next scheduled event's April 8th. So I'm going to try to arrange it for the same date. And we'll have the second Wednesday of the month, and put together a virtual cigar event. People can be on their patio or in their cigar man cave or what have you with their favorite beverage, men, women, business owners, executives, professionals, and all get together on a social media platform, like maybe Zoom, and tune in, get to talk to each other, share their business experiences during this, crazy time that we're having. Talk about what they're smoking, talk about what they're drinking. So yes, that looks like we're going to target it for April 8th because people want to network. That's why when you go online now, you mentioned it earlier when we were talking, the traffic on Facebook and LinkedIn has picked up dramatically. Posts are just bam, bam, bam all over. So people want to network, and the smart ones are continuing to network on a different way using social media, calls, emails, and what have you, because they know the value of it. Connection is there.
This crisis could actually be really interesting to see to what degree the positive impact, if it is there, is on relationships, because it's going to be your first person relationships in your home that you basically now been bunkered in, and that it's going to challenge those relationships. It's going to strengthen them. It's going to show the cracks in them. You know, it's going to do all of that. You cannot escape it by going away for 8 hours somewhere else and then coming
No,
back.
because there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
You go outside, people look at you and go, "Ooh, you're being bad."
Right, and I think it's going to be interesting to see the relational versus transactional nature of things, because to your point, and I think you're spot on, the person who has those relational connections versus the transactional connections, they're going to weather the storm better, and they're going to basically have a foundational connection with people that goes beyond what it is that they can provide professionally. And there's going to be a care that's simultaneous and mutual about, you know, how's your family? How are you doing? Are you okay? You know, what can I do? Can I run you over something? You know, kind of that neighborliness, if you will.
Yes.
And you can even execute neighborliness now by basically ordering something for somebody on Amazon, like ordering food for them to be delivered. Like, you don't have to physically even be there. You can do it across the country. You can do it across the world. And we're all in this. This is a global situation. It's interesting. I think maybe the definition of how we network is going to change. And you and I mentioned this to you, and you did not show up last Friday. So I expect you to be there this Friday. Okay?
Technical issues.
No, you had technical issues. I know. Actually, for people who are watching us, just a little inside track on this. I wanted to have John on last week. John did not have a camera because basically, if you don't know by now, you should know.
You can't get it.
If you don't have a webcam, you can't get it. I mean, and if you can find one on Amazon, it's like basically a gold bullion or something.
3 weeks to get there.
3 weeks to get it. So if you have a camera, consider yourself basically in the highest form of high-tech videos right now. If you don't have one, you're basically SOL. Yeah. But so John did not have a camera.
I did, but it wasn't compatible. It
wasn't compatible. Model. Right. Because if anybody's had a webcam, you know, it's late. If you have a new operating system, it doesn't work. So I happen to have an old camera, and I actually literally did like a parking lot exchange or transaction with John. And we maintained, by the way, the required physical distancing while we did this. I literally left it on my car, and then he came by and picked it up. And so we set it up.
Felt like a drug deal.
It was kind of like a drug deal with a webcam. So, you know, it would have been more shady if it was a cigar, but it was a webcam. It was really funny. Right? Hey, man, I got a webcam for you.
Hey, man, I'll leave it on my dashboard. Just drive by and honk. You know?
Right. So for Friday, you know, John needed a couple of days to get it sorted out with his system. But Friday, I actually did what we're talking about. We have a group of guys that are from the Center Club, and it's ironic because it looks like it might actually spread and follow your footsteps to the LA club, and then maybe somebody in San Diego do it.
Nice.
But a while back, and we'll share this because I kind of followed John's example from the book. He basically, not that I didn't kind of know this, but I think John's book gave me the permission to combine something that I enjoy with maybe people I like, and to organically maybe develop something. And it was almost accidental. Like, I didn't really set out to do this, but we were gathered with a few people very, very randomly, like, hey, we're going to go out to the patio at 3:00 on the afternoon on a Friday. We're going to basically maybe smoke some cigars. Okay, cool. We show up. I show up. There's a couple other people that said they were going to be there. And then next thing you know, we're up to 7 people. And we're all sitting around the fire pit. And I wish I had that picture. I don't know if I can pull that picture. If I can find it, I'll put it out later. But we have a picture that's amazing. It got like about 3,000 views on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to, I'll tell you what the name of the group is. You can look it up in a minute. But we basically end up with about 7 guys there, and we're shooting the shit, excuse my French, and we're basically drinking a little bit and smoking cigars. Everybody was like really low key. I would say these are all like average Joes, really nice guys, all accomplishing their own. Very relaxing. Nobody's putting on airs. Nobody's is fronting or peacocking, you know, or 8x10 glossy. And it's a really nice group of guys. And somebody says something about, oh, it's a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And then I basically, being flippant, say, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't fit us. And then somebody goes, oh, League of Ordinary Gentlemen. And we all loved it. And next thing you know, organically grew the League of Ordinary Gentlemen. So me being sort of, my mind doesn't turn off when it comes to branding and marketing, I said, oh, and it was right around Christmas. So I said,
Mhm.
I wonder if I can get, because everybody at one point or the other wears a sport coat. I said, I wonder if I can get some pins that say Ordinary Gentleman. Well, Ordinary Gentleman abbreviated is OG, which it didn't even click to me at the time that also stands for Original Gangster. Okay, it didn't even click in my mind that that's what it was. Okay, I'm like that naive from the urban vernacular, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, OG would work. So I'm looking up OG pins, you know, online, and I come across this company that actually has a brand. It's OG, and I basically ended up buying silver and gold pins because I'm just color aesthetic wise need to be accurate on this. Because what if somebody wears a brown situation or a black situation? They need both color pins, and I bought sets for every guy that was there, and I gave them to them around January because by the time I got them. And so what you're seeing right here is an OG pin. I don't know if you people can see it. John shows his better. There's an OG pin right there. And so we have this League of Ordinary Gentlemen. And so last Friday, because I hadn't seen everybody for at least a week, last Friday I said, okay, we're going to have a happy hour, a League of Ordinary Gentlemen happy hour on Zoom. And we got 3 people to show up. Lee Goldberg, Stephen Gregg, and myself. And we basically hung out, smoked a cigar, caught up, checked in with each other, make sure everything is okay. We hung out for probably about an hour and a half. And so to your point, this is actually maybe part of the at least current normal pivoting
Mm-hmm.
that we'll be able to do this. Now, obviously, with a group of people that are, you know, more than a certain number, there's going to be some logistics and technical issues that need to be resolved. But I expect you, sir, to be there this coming Friday. Okay.
Okay.
Or else we're going to start basically, you know, like marking demerits against the members of the club. Okay.
We'll just end up with an gone.
Oh, gone. Yes. You hand your pin at the door, dude. Like, you know, sorry, I can't take him from you. Put him in the mail. That's it. You've been unpinned.
Social distancing 6 feet.
And so yes. And we're going to open it up. I mean, it's not this sort of exclusive thing. I mean, you know, we believe it or not, we already have, like, you know, qualification memberships, which is basically you need to be nominated by an OG, and that 3/4 of the membership would basically approve it. And, you know, if you know these guys, that's not a hard thing to do.
After Scotch and cigar, they'll do anything.
Well, no, actually, there are women that basically say, "Well, wait a minute, I'm the original gal," because we had a couple of women with us at the time,
Yeah.
and we're the original gals, and we want our pins too. So this is taking on a life of its own. But this may be a way to creatively continue to social network
Mm-hmm.
and to maybe business network.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be really hard if somebody shows up into that virtual gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And basically starts to do an elevator pitch and start a pitch. I mean, it's like, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Oh, what happened to your camera? What happened to your connection? Oh, I guess you're gone.
Right.
Right. So in a roundabout way, talking to you about this tonight,
Mm-hmm.
I actually am kind of encouraged, because for us who are for a long time been relational versus transactional,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and have been basically almost berated a little bit about it because it's not efficient. Like, you need to be a little bit more like transactionally minded.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see whether relational sustains people, and what happens to people that are very transactional.
Well, I think you've hit it on the head, and I say what's going to happen, in my opinion, here is at the end of this, you and I, the OGs and the Cigar Night Business Mixer group, are going to have a family to go back to and
Right.
start and reset and go forward, because we've already built that structure. We've already built that group. We've already built that network, and we've already built those relationships.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have to start from ground zero. You know, all that pent up demand of wanting to be together and get life back to normal
Right.
will come to fruition, and we will organically thrive, I think, because of that.
Well, you got people who have your back basically, and that care about you, and it's not a transactional
versa.
care.
Yeah,
it's not a transactional care. You know,
right.
that being said, John, and I think it's very, very valid, because it's also based on not an emergency. It's not a coming together that's not organic, right? It's not a forced situation. Because those, I think, are not going to last. I think we're going to see a lot of those that have been around for a while, and they're sort of mutual benefit, but it was very transactional. that's going to go away, because the minute I can't benefit from you, and that's the depth of my relationship with you, then that's going to go away. But that being said, I will like to end this
Mhm.
with a positive message, and I see if you will agree with me, my friend. Is, even though you may not be part of something like that,
Mhm.
even though you may be sequestered, and I'm talking to the listener right now, you have an opportunity right now to get your head into that relational space. And it may be working on the ones that are immediately in front of you, and then within this environment, like your relationships are going to be strained, they're going to be challenged, the kids are going to get on your nerves, your wife is going to basically, want to shoot you, you're going to basically want to run and scream and hide your head, maybe stick it in the oven. Oh darn, it's electrical, it's not gas, I don't, what the hell.
You'll
I should
take
have
20
opted for the upgrade, which you should have called me, and I should have put in a gas oven in your kitchen remodel, but hey, you didn't. All right. So, but you still have an opportunity right now. If you can get your head in that space, not the oven, but the space of basically building a network, right? You can still do that right now. And you have no pressures on you in terms of time. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was like, oh my God, if I don't get something, prior to BC, before Corona, if I didn't get my package from Amazon, I mean, I paid extra for Prime so I could get it the same day or the next day latest. Now it's like, well, we'll have it to you, but it might be a couple of days late or something, and you're like, that's fine, I'm not going anywhere. So take that reality.
Mhm.
That is a forced reality. It's not necessarily something that you wanted.
Mhm.
Although a little bit of solitude and balance is not a bad idea under normal circumstances or any circumstances. But take the space that you are in right now and try to leverage it to where you at least explore the benefits of relational connection versus transactional connection. And I think what will happen, even if you don't have the benefits of like the, OGs, I give a shout out, or, the cigar networking group or something, you're not already in a group like that, find something that gravitates with you. I think there's going to be a lot of gatherings that happen. There's going to be a lot of coming together with people that have commonality in something. I'll give a shout out to a group of people that was formed right because of this. And now they have, about 500, 600 people. They've got 50 seamstresses that are basically sewing masks for the hospitals and for first responders and things
Mhm.
like that because of the lack of masks. And all of a sudden, there's a group of people that have a connectivity, that have a common purpose, that are doing good. They're leaving it better than they found it. They're leaving people better than they found them. And I think relational, leaving it better than you found it, and better still, leaving people better than you found them, can still occur in a virtual environment, but it requires candidness, it requires vulnerability, it requires humility, it requires lack of judgment, acceptance and diversity. And if you can actually engage with those, you may find yourself in a better position coming out of this almost as a better person, to be
I
honest.
couldn't agree more. I
Yeah.
agree with you absolutely.
Well, with that, my friend, I appreciate you spending some time with me. Here's to you.
Rod, it's been a
Cheers.
pleasure.
Cheers.
And cheers.
Always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you this Friday, and we
Virtually,
will catch
virtually.
up then. And let me know about if you're going to do this with the Cigar Night, with a virtual gathering or something,
Mhm.
and I'll definitely put it out there. And it's going to be funny because we usually have to have somebody come in and record and capture it, right?
Mhm.
If you're doing it on Zoom, it's going to record it for you automatically. So you just pulled off an event for even less cost.
I love it.
So I'll see you soon, my friend. I'll see you Friday. Thank you, everybody, for
All right.
joining us for
Thank you,
another
everybody.
episode of the Raad Life. And before I go, again, go get John Dade's book. It is on Amazon. It's called Is Your Networking Net Working? And John Dade, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Take
Thank
care.
you, Rod.
Bye-bye.